film Never Let Me Go begins with on-screen captions explaining there's been a medical breakthrough in 1952 which has led to human lifespans being extended to beyond 100 years. The film is narrated by a 28-year-old Kathy who reminisces about her childhood at Hailsham as well as her adult life after leaving the school. The first section of the film is all about Kathy when she was young, along with her friends Tommy and Ruth, spending their childhood at Hailsham. Hailsham is an English sort of boarding school, and one of the teachers here is fired because she tells the pupils of their real fate, that they exist to provide donor organs for transplants, and they'll be nurtured until adult age, where they'll be available for selection, and after their third selection they will complete. Some complete after their first selection, however, others live for 4 or more procedures. Tommy, Kathy's friend, is emotionally angry and teased by the other boys at the school, and Kathy falls in love with him. In the second section of the film, the 3 friends are all now teenagers and are rehoused in cottages in the rural farm. They are permitted to leave the grounds if they wish, but do not question the ethics of their situation. At the farm, they meet other people from similar places, and Kathy, Tom, and Ruth are all fascinated by the idea of finding the people that they are modelled on. Kathy and her friends question about the rumours of possibly being able to go through deferral, which allows couples in love extra few years before being selected if they can prove their love at the art gallery at Hailsham. Tommy and Ruth become sexually active, but the lonely Kathy applies to become a carer, a clone who is taught to drive and trained to give post-operative care to the others who are given the transplants. In the third scenario of the film, Kathy has been working as a carer, and Tommy and Ruth have split up. But she has watched many clones complete as their organs are donated, and their deaths are referred to as completion. She reunites with Ruth, who is frail after 2 donations, and she has been keeping track of Kathy and Tommy. She helps Kathy arrange a reunion, and Ruth admits that she did not love Kathy and seduced him because she was jealous and afraid to be alone. She is consumed with guilt, and after searching for a way to help Tommy and Kathy, she believes Tommy and Kathy would qualify for deferral. She gives them an address for a person to visit at Hailsham, and selects the student's art that would be worthy to go into the gallery. Ruth completes on the operating table shortly afterwards, and Tommy explains to Kathy that he has been creating art for the past years in the hope of deferral. He and Kathy visit the person at Hailsham, but however there is no such thing as deferral after all. Tommy's artwork won't help them. The film ends after Tommy has completed and Kathy is left alone. 2 weeks after losing Kathy, she is notified that her selection will take place in a month. Contemplating their childhood, she looks at whether their fate is really so different from the people who receive the organs. We all complete, but maybe none of us really understand what we've lived through or feel we've had enough time. Rather than starting the trailer similarly to the film, it begins with Kathy at the end of the film staring out onto the field she spent her childhood on. The moment is just after she's lost Tommy and is about to go through her first selection. The trailer then goes through some of the moments from the first section of the film, flicking back to the moment on the field one point, where it says they have everything except time. Then shows Kathy witnessing Ruth and Tommy kiss after she's already fallen in love with Tommy. Kathy then changes from her school uniform to her teenage years, where they're driving into the country to the cottages on their rural farm. It shows them meeting new people and shows some more of Ruth and Tommy together, but Kathy still being shown as alone. So far, the trailer has stuck mostly to the same structure of the film. It then flicks between their teenage years and the second part of the film, and Tommy and Kathy speaking of deferral. It then shows Tommy's reaction as he finds his paintings won't help them to gain deferral as it does not exist. The final part of the trailer switches between their time at the school, Ruth and Tommy being together, and many other significant parts of the film. It ends on a kiss between Tommy and Kathy, and the title of the film, Never Let Me Go, then appears. The final shot is then shown, which refers back to their teenage years in the second part of the film. After looking at the synopsis of Never Let Me Go and the trailer of Never Let Me Go, I've seen that the trailer mostly matches the order of the actual film. However, as it gets towards the end of the trailer, it then flicks back to moments in the films that might be significant, so that we can start to understand and build an interest in the film and makes us want to go and see it. However, this trailer started with the very end scene, which I thought was quite good, as it sort of shows how Kathy is looking back throughout the whole film on her childhood, like in the final film where she is looking back on the field where she spent her childhood. I think from looking at this trailer and seeing how the structure matches the film, I now know that when I do my own trailer, I think I'll stick to the usual order of the film, showing flicking back to the end sometimes. However, when it gets to the end of the film, I think I'll definitely show different parts of the film that might be significant and link them all together at the end of the trailer.